Jackson is remembered for hating two groups of people. One would be the wealthy that he thought were taking advantage of the government and being privileged by the government. But if he hated anyone more than those folks, it was Native Americans. He had spent most of his life fighting them. If you remember, during the time of Jefferson, people talked about Native Americans as if they were noble savages. By the time of Jackson, they're just seen as savages. And there was a great push by many people to move the Native Americans west. Some just wanted their land. Others argued that it was humane. The only way to avoid more warfare with the Native Americans after things like the War of 1812 was to just get them out. In Illinois, in 1831 through 1832, we're going to have the Black Hawk War. And this is where two groups of Native Americans, the Sac and the Fox, will unite under the chief Black Hawk, claim that the treaties with America are illegal. And even after they try to surrender, our army will attack them and pursue and massacre them as they head west. Abraham Lincoln, by the way, as well as Jefferson Davis, the future president of the Confederacy, will serve in this war. Although Lincoln will not see combat, he'll be a quartermaster. In Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, there's a group of natives we call the five civilized tribes: the Cherokee, the Creek, the Choctaw, the Seminole, and the Chickasaw. Now, of course, what we mean by civilized is that they live like white people. They've started farming. The Cherokee have even translated a Bible into Cherokee so they can be better Christians. And they've been very successful. Particularly the Cherokee have made enormous profits on their farmland. It turns out they turned out to be pretty good white people. And a group of Georgians decide they want that land. They get very jealous of the success the Cherokee are having. And they get the Georgia government to evict the Cherokee. But before the Cherokee can be removed, they fight back. They fight back like Native Americans do. They get a lawyer and they sue. And this case will go all the way to the Supreme Court, which brings that guy into play again, John Marshall. John Marshall rules in favor of the Native Americans. Now, why does he do that? Well, he does that because, remember, John Marshall's thing is that contracts must be protected, and land ownership is a contract. And if a state government can void a contract, that would undo our entire economic system, in Marshall's eyes anyway. Jackson responds, this is probably not true, but Jackson is rumored to have said, "Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it." And he sends the army, and he removes the Cherokee anyway, in direct defiance of the Supreme Court. The Cherokee are given $5 million in compensation, but they lose their land. And to make it worse, they are force marched in the winter and put in Oklahoma, which is a fate worse than I can imagine. 7,000 soldiers under the command of Winfield Scott will march 17,000 Cherokee east. Thousands of Cherokee will die along the way due to the bad weather. Thousands of them ran away into the Smoky Mountains, where there still are today. There's Indian Territory today. This is in the winter of 1838. All five tribes were moved. The Cherokee just were the last ones. So they're the ones we kind of remember the most. Some Seminole escaped into the swamps of Florida and would fight alongside escaped slaves for many years. Jackson will actually send an army into the Everglades, but he still couldn't eradicate them. In fact, we simply stopped fighting back against the Seminole in 1842. And the Seminole are still there in the swamps of Florida. By 1840, every major Native American tribe is west of the Mississippi River. 100 million acres of Native American land have been taken or given to, depending on your point of view, the federal government. In return, we paid the Native Americans $68 million and gave them 32 million acres of the worst land in the country. It did not resemble their homeland at all. And so the skills, the traditions they had for living on their land were worthless in this new land. Now, was this necessary? Was this the only way for America to grow and expand? I think it's an interesting question. I think you can look back and you can say that in order for America to expand, they did have to clear the land. I don't personally feel that way, but I understand how a historian might see that. But I also think it invites us to imagine other scenarios where we might have found a better way to deal with this issue of both the whites and the Native Americans wanting the land.